fall off. Now they holler he'll turn, thinking I'ma sell out. Talking just to feel heard, I never listen, although they say it's strictly. Welcome to Quick Hits. I'm your host, Shannon Smith, aka Podcast Smitty. If you're new to the show, what's good? I'm Shannon. I'm a fan of sport, and Quick Hits is dropping weekly to discuss headlines in the field of sports. So if that's what you came here for, go ahead and give this video a like and get into the comments. Let's talk some sports. But most importantly, go ahead and subscribe to the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel and go through the plethora of podcasts made by some great content creators as we give you what we enjoy and what we love, which is TV and movies, sports, and sports entertainment. Although I am a fan of sport, I'm also a fan of podcasts, and I have two shout-outs that I would like to give before we begin this episode. The first shout-out goes to 5 great guys who talk a lot about wrestling. Wrestling was really big this weekend with Worlds Collide and with Money in the Bank. Also on Thursday, AEW had Fyter Fest, which was 4 hours of wrestling. Very good show. So I'm giving shout out to the wrestling podcasters out there. The first shout out goes to 5 great guys who are very entertaining, very fun podcasts, very good at what they do. They are Knit Ram, Marcus the Founder, Brandy Effin Savage, the Dina Hates You, Chano, and the Zombie King, Junior Flow. Those 5 guys are known as 4 Sides of the Ring. Watch them on YouTube. They have lives, they have videos, they have shorts talking about all your favorite wrestlers, your favorite wrestling organizations, and wrestling news all around the sport. Make sure you give them a listen on YouTube and their socials as well, too. They have them listed on their YouTube channel. Also, the second shout out goes to Mark and Rick 8-Bit, known as Booking Like a Mark. Their podcast is more audio, and if you go on their YouTube page, which is Booking Like a Mark, you'll be able to find the link to their audio podcast. They have their second season up right now, and it's actually really good. I'm in the first season right now, so I'm still listening to it, but they do fantasy booking for all of your favorite wrestling organizations. So make sure you give that a listen. So what are we going to be talking about today? We have the French Open that happened this weekend. UFC's 316 had great title fights. We had the Stanley Cup Finals, Women's College World Series in softball, and of course, the WNBA, which is what I'll be tracking this whole season. I have the power rankings, and I have the week ahead, also recapping all the games from this week. So, without further ado, let's start the show. Now, let's go ahead and get this fan of sports segment started, as we had some great sports go on this weekend. It was fun watching it most of the week, not just the weekend, but throughout the week. The sports was great. We'll go ahead and talk about tennis as the French Open was going on this weekend. The finals happened on Saturday and Sunday. The ladies started it out first, as it was Aryna Sabalenka, the number 1 player in the world, up against the number 2, which was Coco Gauff. Very hard-fought match. Coco Gauff, the 21-year-old sensation, is your French Open champion. This is the first one that she's won. This is the one that she wanted. She said that in her press conference at the end of the match. This is the one that she was eyeing. She is the first American since Serena Williams to win the French Open Championship. Serena won it in 2015. Congratulations to Coco Gauff. Way to do it for us Americans. Great job. In the men's final, which took place on Sunday, that was a fun one. Carlos Alcaraz, the Spanish player, up against Yannick Sinner, who is from Italy. This match was nip and tuck, as it was a tiebreaker that had to decide the winner. The tiebreaker was they had to play it to 10, and Carlos Alcaraz wins his 2nd consecutive French Open, his 5th major at 22 years old. Good job. Very good job. Very good French Open this year. Now we go into auto racing as Indy and Formula One had the week off. They're going to have their races next week. Formula One is going to be on ESPN. I hate it. I got to work. I would love to watch it. But IndyCar will be going to Illinois and Formula One will be going to Canada. But last week's NASCAR Cup Series in Nashville, Ryan Blaney got the checkered flag for that race. And this week's pole belongs to Chase Briscoe for the third consecutive week. Briscoe wins the pole as the Michigan International Motor Speedway will be hosting the Cup Series race. I will be talking about that one next Sunday. For the time constraint for the podcast, got to make sure that I get this in on time. So we go to UFC. Very, very good program that they had on Saturday evening, UFC 316. Two big bantamweight title matches for your co-main event. For the men's bantamweight title, Merab Dvalishvili, easy fashion, winning the rematch against Sean O'Malley, making him submit in round 3. Dvalishvili extends his winning streak to 13 fights after Saturday's win. And the women's bantamweight title match was a decisive win for Kayla Harrison as she submitted Juliana Pena, who was the champion, and she is now the new bantamweight champion. Harrison spotted Amanda Nunes in the crowd, had her come into the octagon, and she issued a challenge to Amanda Nunes. Now, if you remember, Amanda Nunes, she's coming out of retirement. She wants to fight for the title again. Kayla Harrison said, let's go ahead and do it. I've got the title. You got the legacy. Let's do it. So this is going to be interesting as that fight is going to be set up very, very soon down the road. Looking forward to it. Going to make sure to watch that fight. Amanda Nunes, considered the GOAT among female UFC fighters. Let's see if she can bring home that title or if Kayla Harrison retains when they meet. And y'all know me. If y'all been watching Quick Hits, you know I love hockey. So the Stanley Cup finals were in full effect this week. The grudge match. This is going to be fun because the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers, they met last year for the Stanley Cup, went 7 games as they played games 1 and 2. Game 1 belongs to the Edmonton Oilers in overtime for the 3. Leon Draisaitl, 2 goals in the game, but he got the game winner, the one that mattered in overtime, giving Edmonton the 1-0 lead. Leon Draisaitl, he's definitely winning the Hart Trophy after Connor Hellebuyck and Nikita Kucherov lost it in the first round for their respective teams. And Nathan McKinnon, my man, not able to get it done against Dallas. And speaking of Dallas, the New York Knicks and the Dallas Stars, they must be doing things, together. They must be friends, whatever, because they both fired their coaches and they went to conference finals. Fellas, I don't understand. You got to the conference finals. There's no need to get rid of the coach. I don't understand. But going on to game 2, which took 2 overtime periods to decide the winner. Game 2, 2 overtimes. You get it. Everyone's a critic. I'm not here for you anyway. But back to the game. Connor McDavid, the facilitator, 3 assists on the night for Edmonton. But Brad Marchand, Brad Marchand, the other big trade that took place that did not involve Mikko Rantanen. Yeah, that guy. He was the one that sealed the game for the Florida Panthers, getting the goal in double overtime. 5-4 is your final. And the Florida Panthers tie up the series 1-1. We're going to be getting to games 3 and 4 throughout the week. We're going to be getting through to them. There may be some reels coming. I'm pretty sure I'll be putting up some reels for this week talking about this series. This is going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. Now, with all the previous sports I've talked about here, they were all great. Expect reels for the UFL championship. Time constraints wasn't able for me to get that onto the fan of sports segment, but I may do a reel on it this week. Pro wrestling was great. Fighter Fest, Worlds Collide, Money in the Bank. I'm leaving that to my man Malvin off of Mike, my man Sean Lucas, who talked about it on their podcast. Go check out the Nightcap. Malvin off of Mike, he and Tortellini talked about Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank. Also, too, my man Sean Lucas dropped the WOD this past Saturday. Go and see them about the wrestling. Go see my man Jason Colenso with 3 from Deep as the Indiana Pacers and OKC had their game too. He'll be talking about that on this podcast. I'm not going to step on their toes. Baseball's been going on. Make sure you watch Chris DeLuca for the Dugout Debrief. Make sure that you watch him. But now, the biggest highlight for me in my fan of sports segment has got to be the Women's College World Series, that national championship. That was great. I watched all 3 games from start to finish. It was a banger. The national championship for the ladies. The giant killing Texas Tech Lady Red Raiders took on the Texas Lady Longhorns for all the marbles. Texas Tech took out Oklahoma. The 4 consecutive national champion. Texas Tech took them out, led by their $1 million pitcher, Nijaree Canady. She was awesome. The Lady Longhorns were the preseason number 1 coming into this season. Game 1 was on Wednesday, June 4th. It was a scoreless game until the 5th inning. Maya Davis drove in a run on an RBI single to give Texas Tech the 1-0 lead. Bottom of the 6th inning, Nijaree Canady threw 3 pitches outside of the zone. Reese Atwood looked at those pitches, saw that they were inside the zone. Big base hit, catching the defense off guard and giving Texas the 2-1 lead. Texas holds on to win Game 1. Game 2 on June 5th saw another scoreless game, going into the 5th inning. Texas had some trouble on defense. That was what was getting them in this game. Texas Tech loaded the bases, and an HBP hit by the pitch puts Texas Tech on the board first. Same inning, Texas Tech scores on a wild pitch, and in the lead 2-0. Texas fires back, solo home run from Maya Scott. I know you like that, right? Getting Texas on the board. And then inning number 6 comes in there, and it was all Red Raiders. Bailey Lindermuth with the sacrifice fly. Maya Davis, once again, you hear her name again, scoring on the fielding error, making it 4-1 for the Red Raiders. Heading into the 7th inning, Texas, Leanne Good with the double to left center, and Katie Comunes with the sacrifice fly, putting Texas within 1 run. It wasn't enough. Nijaree Canady gets the complete game, gets the shutout, 6 Ks in the game. Series tied 1-1. They had to do it again on Friday. Final game for all the marbles. Texas Tech could be the lowest seed to ever win the Women's College World Series. They just needed 1 more win to do it. The first inning, All Lady Longhorns Reese Atwood started out with the single. Katie Stewart followed with another single, and Leanne Good, that girl good, 3-run home run. Texas up 5-0. Moving on to the 3rd inning, Katie Stewart yet again added on another single. But in the 4th inning, Mia Scott, Mama Mia, grand slam home run. 10-0 Texas. Nijaree Canady, the $1 million pitcher, her night ended after that. Reliever came in there, but Texas Tech, they didn't give up. 5th inning, Mia Scott kept them into the game with an RBI single along with an RBI double. by Haley Tony. But Texas, they were just too much. Tegan Kavan, who has been pitching wonderfully in this College World Series with a complete game shutout, slams the door. Texas is your national champion in softball. New national champion for the ladies. Very good tournament. Awesome stuff. I'll be making sure to get the super regionals in baseball for college, the College World Series, making sure to catch up with the Stanley Cup as well too, the UFL Championship. There'll be a lot more coming on the next episode of Quick Hits. So my fantasy sports segment is done. And of course, it's WNBA time right now. Quick Hits is the only podcast on Boom Broadcasting where you get the WNBA on a consistent basis. We're getting it all season. So let's go ahead and get into these games from last week. We begin on Sunday as the New York Liberty defeat the Connecticut Sun 100-52. Second largest margin of victory in the WNBA, set by the New York Liberty. They hit 19 three-pointers as a whole squad. A lot of perimeter attack by the New York Liberty. Very, very efficiently scoring squad. They won their fourth game in 6 days. So congrats to the Liberty on that win. The Phoenix Mercury defeat the Los Angeles Sparks 85-80. Phoenix was down 18 points in the first half. Phoenix took the lead with 2:11 in the third, and they didn't look back. Satu Sabali, 24 points, 9 rebounds, 4 steals. Odyssey Sims for the Los Angeles Sparks, 32 points, 10 of 14 from the field in the losing effort. But big-time game for Odyssey Sims. And the Las Vegas Aces defeat the Seattle Storm 75-70. Storm cut a 17-point deficit down to 1 point. 13.1 seconds left. Second overall pick, Dominique Malunga from France, missed the turnaround jumper that would have gave the lead to the Seattle Storm. Very, very tough break on that one. Asia Wilson, 19.7 rebounds. Gabby Williams for the Seattle Storm, having 20 points. And to end Sunday, the Minnesota Lynx defeat the Golden State Valkyries 86-75. Third consecutive sellout crowd for the expansion team Valkyries. They're loving their basketball there, and this squad had a pretty good week as we head on into these games. But of course, Napheesa Collier, 24 points, 11 rebounds. She's incredible, great basketball player. She is the leader of the Minnesota Lynx. She's making a strong consideration for MVP this year. Very good job in this game. And Courtney Williams, her teammate, adding on 20 points in that game. Veronica Burton, who has been the vocal leader for the Golden State Valkyries, 21 points, 3 of 5 from 3. She's been a stat machine for this squad. And, of course, they had the night off on Monday, so they go into Tuesday's games. Tuesday, as we've got the Indiana Fever defeating the Washington Mystics 85-76. Remember, Indiana without Caitlin Clark. They snapped a 3-game skid with this win against the Mystics. They scored 31 points in the third quarter after only scoring 38 in the first half. Kelsey Mitchell led all scorers with 24 points. Kiki Arayafin and Brittany Sykes, who has been a scoring machine as well, too, 20 points for the both of them. And Minnesota played the Phoenix Mercury 88-65 is your final in favor of Minnesota. Fourth 8-0 start in franchise history for the Minnesota Lynx. Napheesa Collier, 18 points, 11 rebounds. Natisha Heidemann, 18 points for the Minnesota Lynx. Satu Sabali, 15 points, 8 rebounds. And Lexi Hild, the rookie, 16 points, 3 steals. You haven't heard the last of Lexi Hield in these highlights. So the Seattle Storm defeat the Dallas Wings 83-77. The Seattle Storm snapped their 3-game skid. With this win, Seattle's bench 30 points, scoring 30 points as a bench, a second squad. Very good. Have a good supporting cast. Gabby Williams had 18 points. And Dejanay Carrington, 22 points this game. But one of the things that disappointed me about this game is Arike Ogunbowale, who is a scoring machine, only had 8 points in this game. The Dallas Wings, once again, without Paige Becker because she is on concussion protocol. So not good for the Dallas Wings. Heading into Thursday, the New York Liberty defeat the Washington Mystics 86-78. The Liberty, best start in franchise history, surpassing the 1997 squad that started 7-0. That Rebecca Lobo, Teresa Witherspoon squad. 7-0 was their starting out. And now the New York Liberty still going at it right now, still undefeated. Washington trimmed the lead to 4 at one point in time in the fourth quarter. Breanna Stewart had 26 points, 11 rebounds. She's been silently having an MVP year. Not really been seeing a lot of it with Nafisa Collier being so great right now, but still, Breanna Stewart, the heart and soul of this New York Liberty squad, heart and soul of the WNBA. And Kiki Arayafin, who is the May Rookie of the Month, 17 points, 9 rebounds. She's been playing very well. Remember, she played beside Juju Watkins at USC. So Kiki can play some good basketball for these Washington Mystics in the WNBA. And the Phoenix Mercury get past the Golden State Valkyries 86-77. Golden State was up by 8 at one point in time, 4:04 remaining in that game. They were up by 8, but Phoenix played some very good basketball. Speaking of rookies, Lexi Hield, 24 points in this game. That was her career high so far. And she shot 7 of 15 from the floor, 4 of 9 from 3. Best rookie scoring outing so far this year. Paige Becker had 21 points in one game. Lexi Hield surpassed that. And, of course, Veronica Burton lighting up the stat sheet once again with 16 points. Moving into Friday, the Connecticut Sun, surprising win in this week, beating the Atlanta Dream 84-76. Atlanta's 4-game winning streak, it was snapped. Marina Mabrey, Money Mabrey is what they call her, 34 points. 13 of 22 from the floor, 3 and 9 from 3. The Sun, they need that output from Marina Mabrey on a consistent basis. They definitely need it. 75 points were scored by the Connecticut starters. And Brittany Griner and Rain Howard, 18 points apiece for the Atlanta Dream as they lose to the Connecticut Sun. They're a squad that's seen some better days. But this right here could help them, especially with the win against the Atlanta Dream. And the Los Angeles Sparks defeat the Dallas Wings 93-79. The Sparks had a 3-game losing streak. It was snapped at the end of this game. Azuria Stevens, 21 points. 5 made 3-pointers. That's a career high for her. And Dejanay Carrington putting up 16 points for the Dallas Wings in this game. And Saturday, a very, very surprising game as the Golden State Valkyries defeat the Las Vegas Aces 95-68. The Valks snapped their 4-game skid. Kayla Thornton, 22 points, 11 rebounds. Veronica Burton adding on a double-double with 14 and 12. 14 points, 12 assists. And Monique Billings with 14 points and 11 rebounds. Asia Wilson put up 17. Chelsea Gray with 16. Becky Hammon was very vocal about her squad being soft in this game. Very, very tough to see, very tough to hear from Becky Hammon, a consummate professional, talking about her squad like this. And the Indiana Fever defeat the Chicago Sky 79-52 once again without Caitlin Clark. Indiana's won back-to-back games without Caitlin Clark. They've been 2-2 since her injury. Kelsey Mitchell, 17 points in this game, leading all scorers for the Indiana Fever. Stephanie White had to miss the game due to personal reasons. Assistant coach Austin Kelly coached that game. Sad news from this game as Courtney Vandersloot left the game with a knee injury in the first quarter. That knee injury happens to be a torn ACL, and she will miss the season. Speedy recovery for Courtney Vandersloot, the all-time leader in scoring for the Chicago Sky. Hate to see that happen. Hate to see injuries happen, but they are a part of the game. And rounding out Saturday, the Seattle Storm defeat the Phoenix Mercury 89-77. Alyssa Thomas missing her 5th straight game with a calf injury. Skylar Diggins, 26 points in this game. She scored 22 of them in the second half. Gabby Williams, 21 points, career high. 5 3-pointers made for Gabby Williams. Satu Sabali putting up 22 points, and Lexi held the rookie with 14. Now, these power rankings, I had a slip in the power rankings this week as my Vegas Aces are my number 5 squad. Becky Hammon was very vocal about her team being soft. You still have the reigning MVP on your squad, so you're still a threat. But it wasn't good seeing the way they played against the Valkyries. My number 4 squad, the Phoenix Mercury, this team is missing Alyssa Thomas. But some players have stepped in, namely Lexi Held, to help out Satu Sabali, who has been playing very well this season. The Atlanta Dreamers still number 3 on my power rankings. They took a bad loss to Connecticut, but they're still in good shape, and that was only their first game this week. That was their first game last week. They only played 1 game last week, so they had time to rest. The Minnesota Lynx are my number 2 team, but to be honest with you, you can be interchangeable with them, but I got them at number 2. Nafisa Collier is the lead consideration for MVP right now, and her squad missed her. And the New York Liberty, they're number 1 because, hey, they're defending champions right now, and they're looking incredible. So coming up this week, Paige Becker could be back in the lineup for the Dallas Wings. They need her. They definitely miss her. And Caitlin Clark could be back as early as Tuesday. So we'll keep you posted on that here on Quick Hits, as we will have all your WNBA news here on this podcast for Boom Broadcasting. The WNBA Quick Hits for this week are complete. And here we are, another week with a lot of sports covered here on this podcast called Quick Hits. Everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you as I go through all the sports from auto racing to tennis to women's softball to hockey, the WNBA. We covered it all on this podcast right here. Thank you so much. You didn't have to watch, but you did. I surely appreciate it. Make sure that you get at 4 Sides of the Ring. All you wrestling fans, get at 4 Sides of the Ring. Watch their live. They usually go live on Tuesday, I believe. Watch their videos on YouTube. Watch Booking Like a Mark, or listen to them, might I say, with their podcast being audio. Go to their YouTube. They have the link to their audio podcast. Make sure that you listen to that, and make sure that you're watching Boom Broadcasting, that you're watching all of us for this week. Of course, with me being the only one on Tuesday, you got Podcast Smitty on Tuesday. Then, of course, get to the rest of the week. Make sure you watch It Stinks with my man Sean Lucas, talking about your TV and your movies. Make sure you're watching the Nightcap. Make sure you're watching Wrestling of Destiny, WOD. Make sure you're watching the Dugout Debrief with my man Chris DeLuca talking baseball. Most importantly, make sure you're watching Quick Hits every Tuesday. I'll be back next week with another episode filled with sports, and more sports. That is my time. You guys take care until next time. I'm Shannon Smith, and this is Quick Hits. Can't fall off, now they holler he'll turn, thinking I'ma sell out, talking just to feel heard. I never listen, although they say it's true.